Niche dating is no longer niche enough, making an impact in a saturated market. Hi, I'm David Minns. I'm the niche online dating man. My company that I operate is just on my own, and I specialize in niche dating. And I do the code, the support, and the marketing. At the moment, I have 5 iOS apps and 16 mobile web and websites. Some of the brands that I operate are Dinky One, the small penis dating site, 20 for extreme age gaps, So Gay, a serious gay dating site, Joystick for gamers, and Butterfly, which is a transgender person first dating site and app, and lots more. In 2021, I plan to release maybe about 5 or more new products. So first of all, let's look at some definitions of niche. So, interesting to, aimed at, or affecting only a small number of people. So that's from the consumer side. On the business side, an opportunity for a business to offer a product or service that's not offered by another business. So a quote from myself, in a saturated market, you need to be niche for the consumer and niche for your industry. So an example for one of the products that I operate is Butterfly. So it's a transgender person first dating app and website for serious relationships. There are not many that are for serious, so that puts it unique for the user. And then within the industry, that's combined with some unique features for gender definition. So there's a 2-layer gender definition where you can set a gender based for what you need for the search purposes within the app, as well as what the user would like to have as a display purpose. So there's 2 sort of levels to that, as well as market leading privacy. So those 2 pieces combined of operating something for the consumer as well as the unique in the business, I think is a good way to operate a niche product. Next, we'll look at some niches that already exist that would be maybe classified as standard niches. So you could split by age, such as over 40s or over 50s, by sexuality, interests like sports, hobbies, or particular lifestyles, and also maybe by race or religion. So let's have a little bit of a quiz or a test now. So into the chat, have a go at just sort of typing in sites or apps that you know that meet one of those sections, and let's get a feel for how many that can be named. And I think you'll see that even standard niches are becoming saturated. Within each of those sections or cohorts, there's a good number of apps or websites available today. So why do I think niche dating isn't niche enough? So here are the main areas that I'll cover in the rest of my talk today. So these are the challenge factors. So search engine competitiveness. So how hard or how difficult it is to reach the top of the search engines with today's volume of dating sites. A very interesting one that is becoming more of a problem, certainly over the last few years, is the number of hacked Google search results. We'll go into a bit more detail about the hacking, and that particularly focuses on niche dating sites. I firmly believe that the media are less interested in the standard niches, and I'll go through some of the statistics and performance of some of the products that I've released to back up that point. And also relatively recently, Apple putting in additional restrictions in the dating app market. So first on the list is search position competitiveness. But before we can dive into that, let's do some background theory. But don't worry, it's not going to be too intense. But we're going to use a couple of measures to assess the competitiveness. The first of all is difficulty. So that's a scale of 0 to 100. And this is how hard it is to get your website to rank in the top 10, so the first page of a search engine. And to give you kind of like a feel for this, anything over a score of 20 is very hard for a new brand. And we're also going to look at organic CTR or organic click-through rate. And this is the percentage of people that click on or the organic results. So in this particular example of 53%, roughly half of the people are clicking on paid or sponsored links. So those are the two bits of background information we need before we look at the analysis. Okay, so now that we've had that brief lesson on the background, let's have a look at some of the niches. So if we take senior dating, so maybe over 40s, over 50s dating, it has a difficulty score of 42. So that's quite a challenge. That's quite a competitive market, and only half of the clicks will be onto the organic results. A lot of those search results are also articles and publications about dating for older people. So there's a competitive section. It's becoming very saturated. Then we look at hookup dating. So the difficulty rating moves up to 52. So that's really a challenge to get a first page result. And again, 50% of the clicks will never hit your organic traffic. Then take a religious section. So for Christian dating, again, difficulty rating is 51, and the same level of organic CTR. So you can see that the hookup side and Christian, okay, are very, very different markets, but the difficulty levels are very similar. So let's look at some of the more unique or specialist niches. So this is the kind of the area that I enjoy working in. So age gap dating, interesting. So the difficulty is still hard, and this is really because there's a lot of articles about age gap relationships in the media and the celebrities, but the number of paid adverts in those search results is much less competitive. So almost all of the clicks that are occurring are on organic results. Another one, this isn't going incredibly niche now, so this is for the search term big penis dating. So I have a website for that. It's pretty popular. The difficulty rating really drops down now because it's becoming very niche. So it only has a difficulty of 33, and 100% of the people that are clicking are going on the organic results. And this is because Google will have a policy that they won't allow you to advertise within this section. So this is a kind of a win-win situation for that niche. And then another one, bald dating. So this is for people with fantastic haircuts like myself. Again, the difficulty rating is low, so that's quite good entry to market. But there are a lot of adverts in that section as well. So, I mean, if you've ever done any of the SEO targets, you'll know that you have to be on page 1. And you really need to be in the top 3 results. So you can see the difference between sort of standard niches and the more micro niches. There's a real difference. And if you end up on page 2, then you get no traffic at all. So even if you're ranking at number 11 for a really high volume search term, you may as well be on page 99. So I would say that it's better to be number 1 for a lower volume search term than number 11 for an incredibly high volume. Okay, time to get into the really, really good stuff here. So this is the hacked Google search results. And this is a real problem. It's been around for a number of years, but in the last few months, it's just become really, really big problems. So really, I mean, this is my statement here that the competitive niche search results in Google at the moment are complete junk. So here's a website. This is ranked number 1 in Google. So this is ranked currently for the term adult dating. So you'd expect it to be a sort of a casual hookup site. So you can see from the domain name, it's I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but it's efsumb.org. Anybody heard of that as a dating site? Anybody? No, definitely not. It's a website for ultrasound competence. So it's got nothing to do with dating. It's a medical website that's been compromised and then spammed with dating terms, and then the hackers have forced it up to the number 1 position in Google. It's a hacked WordPress site, and you can see that the ranked page has 0 backlinks. And the way that this is done, the hackers are using some sneaky redirects, and the website behaves differently if you're coming in through the Google search results versus how the Google spider sees it. it's just a crazy situation that certainly for adult dating, I would estimate about 30 to 40% of the results in the top 100 are hacked websites. And it's really common for the off-the-shelf CMS systems like Joomla and WordPress, because the webmasters are putting in lots of plugins, they're not maintained or updated, and then they're quite easy to compromise. So at the moment, it's very hard to rank highly for a lot of the casual dating niches. It's completely like hacked to pieces. And I'd have to say at the moment, not that I'm not going to do this, but it's much easier to hack your way to the top of Google today than it is to go through all the work of the SEO. So we really need some major updates to fix this problem. But if you're in any of the kind of niche markets for the more casual dating, then this is a real problem. Okay, the next section is on media interest. So this is neutral media interest. So this is what I kind of call where the media kind of, yeah, take it or leave it. Maybe I'm not that bothered by that news story. So I'm going to talk about some of the performance of one of my products called Lisa 50, and it's a mature dating site and app. So it's a couple of screenshots. At the moment, it's number 1 in the Apple Store for the search term over 50s dating. And at the time of recording this presentation, it has the highest App Store rating for a mature dating product. So I think it's fair to say that you could say that it's a quality product. I always use the same marketing strategy for all of my niche product launches, about how I go on as well throughout the life cycle of the product. So, initial product launch, stories, articles, statistics. So it's a kind of a standard mix that I use. And mature dating, for example, is not as appealing as bald dating. And here are some of the examples. So really the media hits that you get coming in, they create the backlinks, and you can track that using a measure called domain authority. So here you can see, roughly the last year, and my products down the bottom here, and how they've had their initial take up on launch. So for example, if you take Lisa 50, which is the over 50 site, it was created more than a year ago, but it only ever reached a domain authority of about 10. So it's kind of okay, but not that great. And then some of the more specialist niches, such as Joystick, so that's in orange, that's gamer dating. You can see that within a month, it's already kind of got double the domain authority of Lisa 50. 20 dating for extreme age gaps. Again, in the space of a couple of months, its domain authority is double the mature site. What else have we got on here as well? And bald dating, which I released quite recently, again in a couple of months. That's gone even more than 20 dating and Joystick, as well as Dinky One, which is the world famous site for small penis dating. You can see that that's really interested by the media, so that really shoots up. So when you've got something in the kind of more standard niches, the media, I just don't feel have that kind of appetite for that product. Certainly the way that I've been doing my marketing, you can see that mathematically the interest in that particular niche is just significantly less than any of the other more sort of specialist niches that I've done in the last 12 months. So next up, let's look at some of the media interest that I would put in the positive bracket. So this is for Dinky One. So this is the dating site for men with a below average penis size. And this is taking Google Trends, so for the last year. And you can see this is comparing just across a broad search term for a standard niche of fitness dating. So you can see that the product launch has a big uptake. And then over time, the search terms for the brand itself is kind of similar to an entire sort of section of another niche. So this really shows how positive media interest can really help the more sort of specialist niche products. And some kind of examples of that media, Comedy Central ran a really good section, probably about 7 or 8 minutes of coverage. Seth Meyers did a piece as well on the product launch, and some sort of jokes and humour. It's all really good TV coverage. that's all viral with an organic spend of £0. So all produced just really because it's different. So I really feel that media today want something that's exciting, something that's different, and something that's shocking. The standard terms you could see, or the standard niches on the previous slides, such as mature dating, for me just doesn't have that kind of interest level with the media today. But going kind of more specialist and more niche, then you can produce that really excellent media coverage without any budget at all, which is perfect for me operating on my own. Next, we're going to look at dating saturation, and this is in particular with Apple. So Apple have now added dating onto the spam list. They feel that the market is so saturated and they've got so many dating apps that they can delist you or not approve your product under the terms and conditions saying that it's spam. So all the hard work and effort that we do as an industry is now ranked alongside fart and burp applications now. I mean, I've made some specialist niche sites at the moment in the last 12 months or so, but I was amazed really that people are that interested in fart and burp applications. But anyway, they seem to have enough of those as well. So here's the terms and conditions, clause 4.3 on spam. And so basically with dating now, they'll reject you if you're not unique and you don't provide high quality. So, I mean, high quality is fair enough, but the key thing here is that if the product that you generate isn't unique, then they could say, no, you're not allowed to be in the store. So some of the niches inside the App Store at the moment are very crowded. So the fetish niche and hookups, so the more kind of casual dating, there are hundreds of applications at the moment in those areas. And then others that are starting to become crowded are gay, transgender, and mature dating. So even these kind of other niche areas now are going to start to hit that area where they could be falling foul of not becoming unique. So really, I mean, now if a niche has been done before, you could spend a year of development and hundreds of thousands of dollars or pounds creating your product and then just be told, no, it's not unique enough. You can't release that inside the App Store. So this could be a real problem going forwards for people generating new products, or maybe even for people trying to update their current ones. Again, could fall foul of this particular area if you're not providing something different or unique. So I've now kind of covered all of my arguments, I suppose, for my hypothesis of niche dating is not niche enough. So you may be thinking, wow, brilliant, I'm just going to go ultra niche and that's a really good area to focus on, and that's what I'm doing. But just to give you sort of some of the insights on the business model of doing that as well. So some of the challenges when you're working in micro niches. So it's hard to run a business, I feel, with just one micro niche. Your cohort becomes so small that you just don't have a big market. So it's really essential to run a network of products and be able to cross-sell in between those products. So each one may not have large volumes of people, but as a whole, then you can start to build volume into your business. But then it's also important to really keep the operating costs down to a minimum when you're having to work with such small margins and such small groups of people. So that might come down to code. So some things when I'm working on things that I try to make sure that I can use absolute minimal server resources. So kind of unwritten rule that I have is that, this is getting a bit geeky now, but this is the type of stuff I love. So if you have a SQL query that takes longer than 0.02 seconds, then you've done it wrong. You've got to rethink it. You really want to keep those server costs down. And I try to automate as much as possible time-consuming manual tasks. So username moderation, for example, I now have a completely automated process for that, as well as biography. So there's no manual time taken up in those activities. And I also think it's important to share code between all of the niches if you do build a network. So I have a single code base for all products and all platforms. So really have to keep a tight lid on operating costs and run a network to be able to get that kind of volume to have a viable business. So to summarize, let's turn this into a question. Is niche dating no longer niche enough? So let's go for some more audience participation. So maybe in the chat, based on my arguments and discussion today, maybe just type a simple yes or no, whether you agree with that statement or not, and let's see what everybody thinks. And I think really to generate a strong media interest and large volumes of backlinks, which is a kind of a recipe for like a lean and efficient business, you really need to invent new niches rather than reinvent the existing. Else, if you don't do that, it's still possible, I suppose, but make sure you've got a big budget and that you can then just sort of force your way to the top. But obviously there's greater risks involved in that process. So that concludes my presentation today. So all that really leaves me to say is thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and if you want to know more information about what I'm doing and what I'm up to over the next year, I try to keep everyone up to date. You can check out my homepage, davidminns.com. Thank you very much.